Hello there. Today I'm taking a look at a white wine made from Argentina's signature white grape variety, Torrontes. So this is Bodegas Colomé's Estate Torrontes from 2022. So this is from Salta. This is in the Upper Calchaquí Valley. Specifically, this wine comes from the Brava Estate belonging to Bodegas Colome. And the Brava Estate sits at 1,750 metres above sea level. And actually this is by no means Colomé's highest vineyard. They actually have vineyards at over 3,000 metres, and these vineyards are believed to be the world's highest commercially farmed vineyard. Altitude plays quite an important part in these wines for a number of reasons. Firstly, sunlight exposure. At these heights there tends not to be much cloud cover, so you get day-long sunshine. You also get a higher proportion of UV light, and the ultraviolet light causes the skin on the grapes to grow thicker, giving more flavour compounds in the skins. At the same time as the sunlight allows ripening, the fact that the vineyards are at such high temperatures gives a large, what they call diurnal temperature variation. That's the variation between the day and the night. So you get lovely warm days, but very cold nights. And what that does is it allows the grape to gain flavour ripeness without the heat building up in the grape so much that the grape loses acidity as it ripens. Cooling at night manages to arrest that. Colome is Argentina's oldest wine estate, claiming to have been founded in 1831. It's believed to have been founded by the Spanish governor of the Salta region, somebody called Nicholas Mendy, and evidently his family owned the estate with one small gap of 13 years up until the year 2001, when it was sold to an American, Donald Hess, and Hess has a number of estates in America's Napa Valley, for instance. So Colome has now become part of his Hess family estates. Rather than being a single variety, Torrontes is in fact a group of similar varieties, all of which are crossings based on Muscat of Alexandria. Most of the most common crossings are a Muscat of Alexandria crossing with Criolla, a very common grape found in South America. There are other varieties around the world, in Spain particularly, that are named Torrontes, but they're not actually related to the Torrontes as seen in Argentina. The fruit here grows on pergolas. That enables the leaves to grow above the fruit and provides shade for the bunches as they grow. Yields are kept low. Picking, because they're on these high pergolas, so probably at least six foot above the ground, they have to be picked by hand. You can't do that with a machine. The selection goes on both in the vineyard, and when they arrive in the winery they're put onto tables and they're sorted there. The fruit is left as whole bunches. It's pressed as whole bunches, and that gives a lovely clean juice. The wine ferments in stainless steel tanks. It's temperature controlled, and specifically they choose to inoculate the wine with strains of yeast that they know can stand working at low temperatures, because it's a slow fermentation to try and retain all the aromas of the Torrontes. And this is important with Torrontes because, as I say, it's a Muscat of Alexandria crossing, and actually it's that sort of grapey aromatic note that is the signature for Torrontes, and thus the fermentations go on quite cool and quite slowly to try and retain as much of those aromas as possible. Also, to retain the aromas, there's no aging in oak, there's no aging with lees. In fact, the grapes were picked in March in 2022, and by May 2022 this had been bottled. So this is still a relatively young wine, but as its freshness is really its essence, it's a wine you want to drink as young as possible. It's not a wine for aging. So let's have a look at it and see what we make of it, shall we? I think first, it's a medium colour, it's a yellow colour, but at the same time there are slight greenish hints on it. Swirling it, the wine has, I believe, 13.5% alcohol. It's clinging to the glass slightly, but not particularly. I mean, there's no sugar sweetness in there, so it is just the alcohol providing body for the wine. Let's see what we make of the aromas, shall we? Gosh, those aromatics are very, very muscaty. What do I mean by that? Grapey, generally. The muscat related varieties will give a grapey aroma, but there's also there are notes of what they call terpenes, which is a sort of an aroma compound. And there are sort of, it's almost like Gewürztraminer in terms of there's notes of rose petals, so Turkish delight sort of aromas. The aromas are very pronounced, the aromatics are very clean. So let's have a taste, shall we? The wine is dry. It has pretty good balancing acidity at the opening. Not particularly sharp, but enough to balance the fruit. You're getting these delicate, aromatic, rose petal sort of aromas from the outset. There's grapiness to the wine. There's actually a richness. There's a rounded, slightly oily texture as well. The alcohol's adding a little bit of warmth as well to round it out. And actually, part of that sort of warm, rounded, ripe fruit that you're getting is almost a banana-y note on the mid-palate. And that can be explained by the slow fermentation. And those fermentation aromas can sometimes be described as banana-y. And often they will disappear with time. Probably just leave the more rose petal, Turkish delight sort of aromas and grapey notes in the fruit. But for the moment, for me, there's quite a clear note of banana on the mid-palate. It's not unpleasant. The finish is perhaps a little bit round and soft. You know, the acidity was enough to lift the attack of the wine, but it's not a particularly sharp or crisp wine. This is a wine whose aromatics are its virtue, not necessarily its sort of minerally structure or anything like that. You know, it's a nice, straightforward, approachable, easy drinking, drink quite young, grapey tasting, cleanly made dry white wine. So yes, a really nice example of Torrontes from Argentina, which is a great fun variety to drink, I think, anyway. Thank you for joining us. If you've enjoyed watching the video, do like it, do share, do leave any comments you've got either about Torrontes, about our tasting, about Colome, or anything else related. We'd love to hear from you. Do consider signing up and following us on YouTube. That would be fantastic. But most importantly, please do make some time and come and join us for another tasting in the very near future. Thanks again. Bye for now.